If you thought you had seen messy before, think again, because what just happened with Lisa and Daniel from before the 90s has fans saying this might be one of the wildest updates in franchise history. And yes, when people call it a complete disaster, they are not exaggerating. If you thought you had seen messy before, think again, because what just happened with Lisa and Daniel from before the 90s has fans saying this might be one of the wildest updates in franchise history. And yes, when people call it a complete disaster, they are not exaggerating. From emotional breakdowns to explosive arguments, from shocking confessions to moments that left viewers genuinely uncomfortable, this situation spiraled fast. And the worst part? It all unfolded publicly. Let's rewind when Lisa and Daniel first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé. Before the 90 days, viewers already sensed that something wasn't right. The chemistry felt forced, the communication was awkward, and the cultural differences, they were not just minor misunderstandings. They were deep cracks forming beneath the surface. At first, Lisa came across as determined and confident. She believed she knew exactly what she wanted. Daniel, on the other hand, seemed charming but guarded. There was always this subtle tension. Whenever serious topics came up, money, trust, commitment, social media boundaries, it was never smooth, but fans were still hopeful. After all, messy couples are basically the backbone of this franchise. Then things started getting uncomfortable. Behind the scenes, insiders began hinting that Lisa and Daniel were struggling far more than what was shown on television. The arguments were more intense, the jealousy was real, and accusations started flying. Lisa reportedly questioned Daniel's loyalty constantly. She didn't like the women commenting on his posts. She didn't trust the new female friends he had made. And Daniel, he was clearly feeling suffocated. Viewers started noticing something else too. Daniel's energy shifted. The once playful and smiling fiancé started looking drained, defensive, almost detached. And then came the social media meltdown. It began with cryptic posts. Lisa shared emotional messages about betrayal and disrespect. Daniel responded with subtle but pointed quotes about freedom and feeling controlled. Fans immediately connected the dots. Within days, things escalated. There were live streams, heated comments, deleted posts, and screenshots circulating everywhere. At one point, Lisa accused Daniel of humiliating her. Daniel fired back, claiming he had been pushed too far. Neither of them held back. It wasn't just relationship drama anymore. It was chaos. Some fans sided with Lisa, arguing that she had sacrificed a lot to pursue this relationship. Others defended Daniel, saying no one deserves to feel constantly accused or monitored. And just when viewers thought it couldn't get more explosive, a private argument reportedly became very public. Sources close to the couple claimed that one particular fight turned ugly, very ugly. Emotional screaming, hurtful words, and accusations that crossed serious lines, while the exact details remain disputed. What everyone agrees on is this: it was a breaking point. After that, Daniel went quiet online. Lisa did not. She continued posting, hinting at feeling disrespected and blindsided. She suggested she had been lied to. She implied things were not what they seemed behind closed doors. Fans were left asking one question: was this relationship ever real, or was it built on insecurity from the start? Now here's where things get even more complicated. Several viewers noticed inconsistencies in both of their stories. Dates didn't match up. Timelines felt off. Some claims directly contradicted what had previously been said on the show. That only fueled speculation. Was there another person involved? Was someone seeking attention? Was the relationship already over long before the public explosion? Meanwhile, cast members from the franchise began weighing in. Subtle comments, supportive messages. A few even hinted they had seen this coming. It's not uncommon for 90-day couples to implode, but this one felt different. It felt raw, unfiltered, almost uncomfortable to watch. And then came the moment that truly shocked fans. A leaked clip from a private live session surfaced online. In it, both Lisa and Daniel appeared emotionally exhausted. Their conversation was tense, their words sharp. There was no warmth left. At one point, Daniel reportedly said he felt like he could never win. No matter what he did, it was wrong. Lisa responded by saying she felt alone in the relationship. That exchange hit hard because underneath the chaos, you could see two people who were clearly unhappy. The fairy tale was gone instead. What viewers saw was a relationship weighed down by mistrust, pressure, and resentment. Now here's the latest twist. Recently, Daniel was spotted out with friends looking noticeably more relaxed, smiling, laughing, living freely. Meanwhile, Lisa posted about healing, growth, and learning hard lessons. Are they officially done? Neither has confirmed it directly, but actions speak louder than captions. Close sources claim they are no longer together and have been separated for some time. However, there is still tension surrounding how everything ended. And if you think this story ends quietly, think again, because, according to insiders, there may be even more details that have not yet surfaced. Allegations, receipts, private conversations that could paint an even messier picture. For now, fans are divided. Some feel sympathy, others feel frustration, many are simply exhausted. But one thing is clear, whatever Lisa and Daniel had, it did not survive the pressure of reality television and long-distance mistrust. And in true before the 90 days fashion, the drama unfolded. For the entire world to see, this was not just relationship trouble. This was a full-blown implosion, and what made it even more intense was the timing, because just days after everything seemed to explode publicly, subtle but telling details started emerging that suggested this breakup didn't happen overnight. It had been brewing for weeks, maybe even months. Fans began revisiting old episodes of Before the 90 Days, analyzing every scene between Lisa and Daniel. Moments that once seemed like minor disagreements suddenly looked like early warning signs. Remember when Lisa pushed for faster commitment, while Daniel hesitated? At the time, it felt like a typical storyline conflict. Now it feels like the beginning of a pattern. Remember how Daniel would shut down during arguments? Instead of escalating, he would withdraw. That wasn't calmness. That was emotional fatigue building. And Lisa, her intensity wasn't just passion. It was anxiety. Anxiety about losing control. Anxiety about being embarrassed. Anxiety about investing in something that might fall apart. When you watch it back with hindsight, it's uncomfortable. But here's where the situation truly turned into what fans started calling a literal disaster. During one heated online session, a conversation between them reportedly spiraled into personal territory that many felt crossed a line. Accusations were thrown that went beyond simple relationship drama. Some viewers claimed the fight revealed deeper others felt both were equally responsible for pushing each other to the edge. The live session ended abruptly, and that silence afterward, it was louder than anything they had said. For almost 48 hours, neither posted anything. No quotes, no reactions, no explanations. And in the world of reality TV stars, silence usually means one thing: damage control. When they returned online, their tone had shifted. Daniel appeared composed, almost detached. He spoke carefully, choosing neutral language. He avoided blame. He mentioned needing peace. Lisa, however, seemed emotionally raw. Her posts were longer, more detailed, more personal. She talked about feeling blindsided. She hinted at promises that were not kept. She referenced sacrifices that were not appreciated. Fans immediately picked sides. Some argued that Daniel had emotionally checked out long before the public breakup. Others believed Lisa's constant pressure made it impossible for the relationship to breathe. And then a new rumor surfaced. Allegedly, there had been disagreements over money and future plans that were never fully addressed on the show. Questions about relocation, questions about financial support, questions about who was compromising more. If that's true, it adds another layer, because financial strain mixed with jealousy and long distance is rarely a stable formula. Meanwhile, fellow cast members from the 90-Day universe began reacting. Indirectly, a few posted cryptic messages about knowing your worth. One commented about how reality TV relationships struggle once the cameras are gone. Was that aimed at Lisa? At Daniel? At both? No one confirmed, but the timing felt intentional. Then came what many fans describe as the turning point. A close friend of Daniel reportedly shared that he had been feeling overwhelmed for a long time, that he felt scrutinized constantly, that every social interaction became an interrogation. If that's accurate, it explains his visible withdrawal in recent weeks. But Lisa's side tells a different story. According to sources close to her, she felt isolated. She believed Daniel wasn't fully transparent. She struggled with trusting him due to inconsistencies in small details. When repeated often enough become big doubts. So what actually ended it? Some speculate it was one final argument that neither was willing to recover from. Others believe the relationship had already ended emotionally, and the public explosion was simply the final act. What's undeniable is this: there was no clean closure. No joint statement, no friendly farewell post, just distance. Daniel started focusing on personal content, gym, updates, friends, smiles that looked lighter than before. Lisa shifted toward self-reflection posts, growth lessons, healing language. That contrast spoke volumes. It's almost like they are telling two completely different stories without directly addressing each other anymore. And here's the bigger question fans are now asking: was the relationship amplified by the pressure of the show? Because Before the 90 Days has a history of intense couples whose problems escalate under public scrutiny. The cameras magnify insecurities, social media magnifies reactions. Suddenly, every disagreement becomes a global discussion. For Lisa and Daniel, that pressure may have exposed cracks faster than they could repair them. There's also another factor to consider. Long-distance relationships already require high levels of trust. Add in time zone differences, cultural misunderstandings, and public commentary, and you have a constant test of stability. Not everyone passes that test. Right now, neither Lisa nor Daniel has officially announced a final status update, but insiders strongly suggest they are done for good. And even if they attempted reconciliation, the public nature of the fallout may have made rebuilding nearly impossible. Trust is fragile, and once accusations are broadcast to thousands of viewers, it becomes even harder to repair privately. Fans are still watching closely, waiting for a tell-all interview, waiting for a leaked message, waiting for someone to finally say what really happened behind the scenes. Until then, all we have are fragments. Deleted posts, vague captions, body language shifts, and a relationship that seemed intense from day one, now reduced to silence. But if there's one thing the 90-Day franchise has taught us, it's this. Drama rarely ends quietly, and if there are more details waiting to surface, they probably will. Because in the world of reality television, the cameras may stop rolling, but the story almost never does. And that's exactly what seems to be happening here. Even though Lisa and Daniel have stepped back from directly addressing each other, the ripple effects of their fallout are still spreading. Fans are dissecting everything. Old interviews, archived, live streams, even background moments from episodes that didn't seem important at the time. One clip in particular has resurfaced repeatedly in it. Daniel laughs off a serious question about long-term plans. At the time, viewers brushed it off as nerves. Now, it feels like hesitation. Like someone unsure whether the future being described was something he truly wanted. Lisa, on the other hand, always spoke in absolutes: marriage, permanence, commitment. She rarely left room for uncertainty, and when one partner speaks in certainty while the other lives in doubt, friction becomes inevitable. What many viewers are now pointing out is how often their conversations centered around reassurance. Lisa needed it constantly. Daniel gave it, but sometimes with visible strain. Reassurance can be healthy in moderation, but when it becomes a daily requirement, it can turn into pressure, and pressure, especially long distance, can suffocate even strong feelings. There's also the issue of public validation. Several times during their run-on Before the 90 Days, Lisa referenced what others thought of their relationship. She seemed hyper-aware of critics, hyper-aware of other women, hyper-aware of social media. Daniel seemed less concerned about public perception and more focused on personal freedom. That difference in priorities may have been more significant than anyone realized. As more time passes, small behavioral shifts continue to tell a story. Daniel has reportedly removed several couple photos from his social platforms. Not dramatically, not all at once. Just quietly. Lisa, however, has left some up. Whether that's intentional or simply oversight, fans are reading into it. And then came another unexpected twist. A rumor began circulating that there may have been discussions about appearing together again in a follow-up special or reunion format. Allegedly, talks didn't go smoothly, if true. That suggests unresolved tension still exists behind closed doors. Because if everything had ended peacefully, appearing together for a final conversation wouldn't be that complicated. Instead, silence remains. And silence often protects something. Some fans believe both are protecting themselves legally. Others think they are protecting their reputations. A few even speculate that there are personal details neither wants exposed publicly. It's important to remember that reality TV only shows a fraction of real life. What happens off camera can be far more layered than what viewers see still. One undeniable pattern stands out whenever Daniel posts something lighthearted. The comment section fills with questions about Lisa. Whenever Lisa posts something reflective, the comment section fills with questions about Daniel. Neither can fully move forward without the other being mentioned. That's the cost of a public relationship. Even if the love fades, the association lingers. Another interesting development is how differently their support systems seem to be reacting. Daniel's friends appear visible and vocal, showing up in stories and posts, creating a sense of community around him. Lisa's content feels more solitary, more introspective, focused on healing rather than distraction. That contrast alone tells two emotional narratives unfolding in real time. One person coping through movement, the other coping through reflection. Neither approach is wrong, but together, they highlight how differently they process conflict, and that difference may have been at the heart of their downfall. Now, fans are starting to ask the uncomfortable question: was love ever enough here? because chemistry and attraction can carry a relationship for a while, but long-term compatibility requires aligned values, communication styles, and emotional resilience. From what viewers witnessed, Lisa and Daniel often spoke at each other, not with each other. Arguments weren't about solving issues, they were about winning them, and when both partners feel unheard, resentment quietly builds. It's also worth noting how fast everything accelerated once doubts surfaced publicly. Instead of addressing concerns privately, social media became the battleground. Screenshots replaced conversations, captions replaced .com discussions, and once that line is crossed, rebuilding trust becomes nearly impossible. Right now, insiders suggest both are focusing on individual growth. Daniel is reportedly exploring new opportunities, possibly even stepping further into influencer territory. Lisa is said to be prioritizing self-care and reevaluating what she wants in a partner moving forward. Whether those paths ever intersect again is uncertain, but what seems clear is this: the relationship as fans knew it is over, and the public unraveling may have permanently changed how both approach love in the future, because once you experience a breakup under the scrutiny of thousands of strangers, you learn quickly what you are willing and unwilling to tolerate. Some relationships end quietly behind closed doors. This one ended with digital echoes that are still bouncing around the internet, and until one of them decides to tell the full, unfiltered story, speculation will continue. Fans will keep watching, waiting, analyzing, because in this franchise, endings are rarely simple. And sometimes the aftermath becomes even more dramatic than the relationship itself, because what happens after the breakup often reveals more truth than the relationship ever did. Now that the dust has somewhat settled, patterns are becoming clearer. The chaos, the online tension, the emotional posts, the silence in between all of it paints a picture that feels less like a sudden explosion and more like a slow collapse that finally gave way. For Lisa and Daniel, the public may have witnessed the breaking point, but the fracture likely started long before anyone hit record. There's something about high-intensity relationships that can feel intoxicating at first. The urgency, the constant messaging, the dramatic declarations. It feels passionate. It feels real. It feels powerful. But intensity is not stability, and stability is what long-term relationships survive on. Looking back, many fans are now admitting they ignored early warning signs, the repeated trust conversations, the subtle defensiveness, the emotional fatigue in Daniel's tone during later interviews, the way Lisa's concerns kept circling back to the same fears when the same argument repeats in different forms. It usually means the root issue was never resolved, and unresolved issues don't disappear. They multiplied. Another thing that stands out is how differently they handled conflict resolution. Daniel appeared to withdraw when overwhelmed. Lisa appeared to press harder when anxious. That combination can be dangerous. When one partner pulls away and the other pushes forward, it creates a chase dynamic, and eventually both get exhausted. Some insiders suggest that the final straw wasn't even one massive betrayal. It may have simply been emotional burnout. Burnout from defending themselves publicly. Burnout from explaining the same concerns repeatedly. Burnout from trying to prove something that no longer felt natural. And once emotional burnout sets in, love alone often isn't enough to reverse it. What makes this situation even more layered is the reality TV factor. Being part of 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days means your relationship is not just yours anymore. It becomes content. It becomes discussion. It becomes debate. Every flaw is magnified. Every insecurity is analyzed. Every mistake is screenshotted. And for couples already struggling with trust, that kind of spotlight can be overwhelming. It's possible that without cameras, without social media commentary, without public pressure, Lisa and Daniel might have navigated their issues differently, or maybe they would have ended anyway, but we'll never know. What we do know is that their breakup didn't follow the clean script fans sometimes hope for. There was no unified message about mutual respect and wishing each other well. There was no calm, shared closure. There was tension. There were emotional undertones. There was unfinished energy. And sometimes unfinished energy lingers longer than the relationship itself. Right now, both appear to be rewriting their own narratives. Daniel's path looks lighter, more independent, less burdened by explanation. Lisa's path looks introspective, focused on lessons learned, reflecting on boundaries and self-worth. And maybe that's the one positive takeaway from all of this. Sometimes, relationships fall apart not because one person is entirely right and the other entirely wrong, but because they bring out incompatible coping mechanisms in each other. Maybe Lisa needed more reassurance than Daniel could sustainably provide. Maybe Daniel needed more space than Lisa could comfortably give. Neither makes someone a villain, but together, it creates friction that eventually becomes unsustainable. As fans continue to speculate, one thing feels increasingly certain: this chapter is closed. Could there be a future tell-all interview? Possibly. Could one of them eventually reveal unseen messages or behind-the-scenes details? It wouldn't be surprising, but the emotional dynamic that once defined their storyline appears to be over. And perhaps that's for the best. Because at its core, what viewers witnessed wasn't just drama. It was two people struggling to meet each other in the middle, and failing under pressure. Sometimes love isn't destroyed by one explosive moment. Sometimes it erodes quietly, through small doubts and repeated misunderstandings, until there's nothing left strong enough to hold it together. For Lisa and Daniel, that erosion played out publicly, messy, unfiltered, but also human. And maybe that's the most honest part of this entire situation. Reality television may amplify the chaos, but the emotions underneath are real. The disappointment is real. The frustration is real. The heartbreak is real. As the franchise moves forward with new couples and new storylines, this chapter will likely become another cautionary tale in the long history of 90-day relationships. A reminder that passion without stability can burn fast. That reassurance without trust, eventually, runs dry. And that sometimes walking away is not failure but self-preservation. For now, the posts have slowed, the accusations have quieted, the digital storm has faded into scattered commentary. But the lessons from this fallout will likely stay with both of them long after the internet moves on, and in the world of reality TV, that might be the only real closure anyone ever gets.